Hello and welcome to another another episode of Messy Magic. I'm leaving that in there because this is the podcast that is about mess and it happens. And you know what? Sometimes mess is actually where the fun is and the magic and all the good things in life. So I'm leaving that in there. Welcome to the episode. I'm really excited to be with you here today. Thank you so much for pressing play. I want to talk today about two things that are really close to my heart and that I've been really playing with and combining lately, I guess over the past few months. And I want to talk about it on today's episode. But before I get into it, I also want to just mention a resource that I recently created, which if you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen it there sort of midway through June. I created this 8-minute visualization practice for the woman who needs to write something or create something, or in this case, record something. So I did this exercise before recording this podcast. I used my own resource. And it's an 8-minute visualization to help you connect with the subject of what you're about to be either writing about, talking about, recording, videoing, whatever it is you're creating. If you want to connect with the heart of it and the message, this is a visualization to help you do that. Now, obviously, it's only 8 minutes long, so it's not super detailed. It's designed to be something that you can do relatively quickly before you jump into your expression. But I just did it for myself, and it went really well, humbly. But I love doing visualizations and meditations and things, so I created this freebie for anyone who would like a little bit of support with connecting with the subject of what they are about to write about or express about. You can grab it over on my website, nadiguy.co/express. And I'll leave a link to it in the show notes as well. So today's episode is all about embodiment coaching and copywriting, specifically conversion copywriting. Now, before I get into the actual content, I started to think, when I started to prep for this episode a few days ago, I started to wonder to myself whether the podcast has veered off course to the initial intention. And so I was thinking, I wonder if my audience, the people who are actually listening, are starting to feel like it's veering off course as well. And when I thought about it, this podcast was always meant to be a celebration of life's mess, talking about things that maybe go wrong in life or things that don't go to plan, the things that aren't so pretty. And what happens when we face it rather than sweeping it under the rug? What happens if we turn towards it and embrace it and explore what treasure there might be inside of that mess? And honestly, that's really at the heart of my embodiment coaching. So I feel like the coaching is definitely still relevant to the topic of the podcast. But also, it's a beautiful project where I get to share my heart with you and my journey. And this is all a part of that. And so what I'm talking about today is a real demonstration of mess and of being a bit unsure about something and following the path anyway. But also, it's really now in service to women in business. So I get to do these two things at once, which I think is just amazing. So to get into the topic of today, I thought I'd tell you a little bit of a story about how it all started with, in terms of me combining feminine embodiment coaching and copywriting, and why I'm combining those two things in today's episode. Now, you may know that last year I was certified as a feminine embodiment coach, and I feel like the journey towards that certification and everything since it's been life-changing. The whole process of learning how to become a coach and diving into the world of feminine embodiment has just been incredible. Prior to that and during that time, I've been a copywriter for many years. I've been in marketing for a really long time, and I love writing, all different kinds of writing, creative writing especially, but I've been doing business writing for a long time as well. And the specialty that I have now is conversion copywriting, which is all about, as you can imagine, conversions, which might mean sales. It might mean leads, like creating leads from landing pages and forms. Any kind of conversion online really is where my focus is. And I really thought that those two journeys were separate, and I was going to transition from one into the other. But something happened, and I just started to consider the possibility of not burning that bridge and of continuing to offer that service while I also was able to offer coaching. And I remember the moment, I was having a conversation with a really close friend of mine. I was standing in the playground watching my kiddo play with his friends, and I was talking to her on the phone. And I started to say things like, what would it be like? Like, why couldn't I combine the experience that I already have with this new area that I'm so fascinated by and enchanted by, and I'm just so passionate about? Why couldn't I bring them both together? And the more I talked about it and thought about it, the more I thought, well, I haven't seen it really in existence before. It feels like this really strange thing that people are not looking for. You're not looking for someone who is a copywriter and an embodiment coach. That's just weird. And even if you ask my husband today, he still doesn't know who would be looking for those kinds of services, which is fine, but because he's not in my target audience. And so it is this really nebulous kind of thing, but it felt good. And with the embodiment training that I've done, I know to trust what feels good. And so that began the journey. This is about 6-7 months ago now, of exploring how I might combine feminine embodiment coaching with my conversion copywriting. And where I've landed, or so far where I've landed, is in the service of women in business, which just seems so natural. It seems so obvious, but it's taken me a while to get here, and no one has sort of given me the steps or told me how to get here or what to do. And so that in itself has been empowering and fun as well, like just sort of creating the path as I walk it. So conversion copywriting is strategic writing for your business. It's designed to get conversions. So it's high-end, effective, it's targeted. It's the kind of copywriting that corporate brands use, as well as any high-income earning business. I mean, any business really can use conversion copywriting. But where it really comes into its power is where you've got enough traffic or enough people coming to a point that you can really measure the difference in the copy that you write. So as you can imagine, it's not just copywriting that sounds good, because lots of people can write words and put together ideas on a page that sound really good and do a really good job. And that's what I did for a long time. But the conversion piece is very strategic. There's a lot of research that goes into it, because you're talking to customers and clients about what their areas, what they're challenged by, what their objections are, and really understanding and getting to the heart of the problem and using their words and their voice in the copy to make it even more relevant and compelling. And it's really, it's very targeted, very strategic, very effective. Feminine embodiment coaching is all about the somatic experience, getting into your body, diving into the inner depths of your being, finding your truth. It's about, for me anyway, it's about deepening self-confidence and self-assurance. And it's really about aliveness and pleasure and sensuality and joy and life of truth. And so truly, feminine embodiment coaching can be used for all sorts of life challenges and desires, from wanting to trust yourself more, to figuring out what you want from life, to career changes, relationship challenges, and so much more. And so when you put them side by side like that, I feel like conversion copywriting and feminine embodiment coaching are worlds apart. So why would you combine them both? And that's what I wondered to begin with. But really, as I sat with the idea and it began to take root, I felt it become really important. And I began to realize that I could help women in business on two levels, combining both of these skill sets as one offering, but also as two separate offerings. So for today's episode, if you want to write more effective copy, then this episode is for you. Or if you're looking for inspiration to combine seemingly unrelated things, then this is also for you, because that's what I've done here. So, you can watch it unfold. And that in itself, that idea of combining unrelated offerings, that could be a really beautiful topic for a coaching session. So just as an aside, that's the kind of thing that you could bring into a coaching session and explore and walk away with insights into how you could combine these two things that are interesting to you as a result of a feminine embodiment coaching session. So again, I'll drop the link to my coaching in the show notes as well if you want to set up a coaching session or just a coffee chat with me about my coaching. Now, not all copywriting is embodied, and I don't suggest that it has to be. And honestly, I think most conversion copywriting wouldn't even consider the kind of principles and values of embodiment. And I don't think that it has to. But if your writing involves connecting with other humans on some level and there's some emotion involved, then I really suggest bringing some embodiment into your copywriting. So one of the ways that we combine the two is by the fact that it's human. And so I thought about this, I want to take a second to talk quickly about AI, because AI is becoming so prevalent, and in the world of copy, it's a big topic as well, because you can get AI to write you anything. And it is really useful. I actually find it useful for prompts, to get AI to ask me questions to think about and then write about. So, and there's lots of different ways, obviously, that we can use it, but it's generic and it doesn't have a heartbeat. So, your copy is a chance to connect with a human who's reading it. If it comes from you, a human, and it's connecting with a human on the other end, that's so beautiful. And so if you want to write words that truly connect with your audience, I really don't think that you can expect AI to do that for you. It really needs to come from your heart. So that's the first way in which I think embodied copywriting is really valuable. The next step to doing embodied copywriting is to drop into your body. Like, one of the foundational practices that we do in embodiment coaching is dropping into the body and being present with what's here for you today. It's about experiencing the sensations that you have and the inner knowings that you don't necessarily pay attention to every moment of the day, or until you actually take a moment to slow down and pay attention. So it allows you to turn in and experience the sensation of what you want to write about, which is kind of related to the visualization that I created, the 8-minute practice that I mentioned at the start of the episode. By dropping into the body, you also can get a deeper understanding of your offering through experiencing it in your body. So depending on what you're writing about, if you spend some time with it, you get to experience it in your body, then you get a deeper understanding of it. The 8-minute visualization that I did before recording this episode allowed me to spend a little bit of time with the concept of embodied copywriting and how it feels to me and how it wants to be expressed and why it's an important message. And I got to experience that in my body before pressing record. And it also, this dropping into your body, gives you a deeper understanding of your audience if you can take time to sort of align with the energy of your audience and experience it through their eyes or their ears. And this drop in allows you to start from the body and right from there. So if you're curious about what that might look like, again, you can check out the 8-minute free resource that I've created. Thirdly, embodied copywriting is about aliveness. Part of embodiment coaching is tapping into the aliveness that lives within your body. So by drawing on your feelings, tapping into the feelings, you can bring feeling to your words. And in feminine embodiment, we talk about resonance. So the resonance of your energy, what people feel when they're around you or in your presence. So an embodied copywriting can support you to invite this resonance into your words so that your audience can feel you and your aliveness through your words. Embodied copywriting is also about truth. And I mentioned this at the start as well in terms of embodiment, feminine embodiment coaching is really about being present with what's true and what's deeply true. And sometimes that's not comfortable, when we really get quiet and listen to what the truth is underneath everything for us. But it's so relevant when it comes to copywriting, especially if you're writing something that's personal or where you want to really deeply connect with your audience. It helps you really express your truth. And it's about honoring your humanness, your humanity. Through feminine embodiment, we learn about our limiting beliefs and we can address those. We also become present to our fears, our desires, our longings, and our dreams. And all of those things are part of our truth. And so if deep connection is a part of what you need to write about, what you want to write about, or like, as I said, create a podcast or a video or anything that you're creating, maybe it's artwork, then connecting with your inner truth, fears, desires, longings, dreams, will really help it come through your creation. Now, I've also been thinking a lot lately about what's ethical. because there's a lot of different strategies that you can use in copywriting that I feel are a bit manipulative, or maybe just tactics that are that don't feel good to me. And everyone's values are different, but with copywriting, there's a lot of strategies that are available, and not all of them feel ethical to me, even though like a lot of them are really effective. So with embodied copywriting, honoring our humanity and our truth, we get to lean into our values. So it's not only naturally ethical for us because we are present to our values, but it's also in integrity. And that feels really good to me. Like, I want to create stuff that feels good to me and that is in integrity for me. So in terms of how you might employ embodied copywriting in your work, the first thing is really to get into your body before you begin to create anything. And that's what the 8-minute audio can help you to do. But you don't need that. I mean, you can close down your eyes and get quiet and still and turn your attention inward and just begin to notice and get curious about what's going on for you today, what's loudest inside of your body, what is asking for attention, and just noticing your sensations, just getting into your body before you begin to create. It's important to understand what you're writing about and its energy. So spending some time exploring what you're writing about from a body-based understanding. And then it could also help you to understand your audience more deeply and what they need from your writing, both from a logical perspective and energetically. And you can do that by going out and talking to people, or listening, like reading conversation or posts that you've seen elsewhere or reviews. Or you can go inward and drop into a feeling of being in your audience and tap into some empathy for your audience from within. Another way of inviting embodied copywriting into your work is to have the subject of your writing, like whatever you're writing about, be in your presence as you write so that you can co-create with it. And again, I know this is a little bit nebulous, but kind of inviting it to be present somewhere in your energy field, and have it there in your mind, in your heart with you as you're creating, so that it can co-create with you. And I love this idea, like kind of giving it a persona almost, whatever feels most true to you. And that will also allow you to tap into the energy of it and express from your deepest truth. So I hope this is helpful, and I hope it makes sense. Our world is increasingly complex, fast, distracted, and automated. And I believe that while it's okay to lean into automation and logic, and believe me, I love automation and I also lean on logic so often, but I believe we also need to double down on our humanity and our feeling, breathing experience and keeping connection with others. And so wherever there's an opportunity to automate something or to get really strategic and process driven, that it's also an opportunity to consider how we can make sure that we maintain that connection with our humanity and our living, breathing selves and our living, breathing audience, and just really drawing on the aliveness that we all have, while still bringing in support from logic and process and structure and automation wherever we can. And so that's why I feel like embodied copywriting is this beautiful concoction. It's like this infusion of these two completely different areas that I think can really benefit each other in a way that masculine and feminine do. Like, I definitely see conversion copywriting as a really masculine approach, and feminine embodiment coaching is very feminine. Surprise, surprise. And I love combining these two. So I hope this has been helpful. Please let me know. I would love to hear from you. You can DM me on Instagram. I'm just Nadee Guy on Instagram. I'll put that link in the show notes too. But if you give this a try, I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to know how it goes, and I'd love to hear your reaction to this topic. And of course, as a copywriter, if you need someone to write words for you that are really effective, I'd love to hear all about, what you're creating and how I might be able to help you get your message out to more beautiful souls. So I have to go because I've got to go pick up my little one from school. But I hope you're having a beautiful day, and I'll be with you again really soon. Have a magical day.